podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Now entering the PNRNetworks arena, coming down the aisle from Revere, Massachusetts, weighing in at absolutely none of your business. It's the mistress of mayhem, the queen of quips. It's time for Ring Around the Rosie with your hostess, Kim Brown.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Ring Around the Rosie. I am your hostess, Kim Brown, a.k.a. Platinum Rose Lady, coming to you on the 29th of May, 2019, and I hope everybody had a great long weekend, everybody who was lucky enough to have the day off on Monday, as we celebrated Memorial Day. Obviously a very important day in America, and definite thank you to the families of people who made the ultimate sacrifice to keep us free, and we should always remember freedom is never free. So thank you to the families of people who made the ultimate sacrifice to keep us free in this country. So, this past weekend was a very super awesome, exciting event that I was really, really looking forward to, and I have to be honest, it did not disappoint. May 25th was AEW Double or Nothing, their first pay-per-view, which was really exciting, which was coming from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Paradise, Nevada. So they didn't have to worry about snow or anything. Obviously, well, it's May and it's Nevada, so they actually might in the mountains. I don't know. I've never been to Nevada. It's a beautiful country out there, though. I know that. So the commentators for the show were Alex Marvez, who I don't know, Excalibur, who I also don't know, and Jim Ross, who came in later in the show, who I actually do know. So I was like, well, at least I know somebody. So that's nice. I didn't think that Alex and Excalibur were too terrible because I actually didn't really think they were that bad at all. Alex was a little bit, but I thought Excalibur was on. Jim Ross sounded great as usual. A little bit of time away from the game and stuff like that. It'll slow you down a little bit. But as the show got going and they warmed into it, they really kept, they kept pace with each other quite well. And there wasn't the usual sniping between, commentators that you get on the WWF product. So that was nice. They're actually focusing on, oh my gosh, what's going on in the ring? Gasp. What a different idea. All I could think while I was watching this show, besides the fact that, it was a really exciting show and really amazing, and oh gosh, there are certain people that are very easy on the eyes in this federation, which I'm perfectly fine with. I got to thinking, because this is the way my mind works, because in case you hadn't noticed, I'm a little bit, my mind is kind of like a pinball machine, it kind of just the ball goes flying everywhere and hits the flippers and hits the dingers and all that stuff like that, because I just have the bizarre stuff floating through my head all the time. And I'm watching this pay-per-view, and the only thing I could think of, this is stupid, the only thing I could think of was that Bob Dylan song, The Times They Are A-Changin'. That's all I could think of in my head was that song. I'm like, I'm actually thinking of a song from 1964 in 2019. This is just funny because it's just, especially the whole part of that song that's, there's a battle outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls for the times they are a-changin', WWE. I was really going into this pay-per-view going, I really hope we see something special. And I have to be honest with you, we did. We really, really did. And if the WWE isn't worried, if the WWE says they're not worried, they're lying. And if they really aren't worried, they really fucking ought to be. So, let's go over the card real quick. We're going to do this kind of down and dirty. The pre-show was a casino battle royale. Get it? Casino Royale with the thing, yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't get a new Daniel Craig showing up because that just would have made my entire weekend. The rules because I was like, okay, there's rules with a battle royal. How do we do that? It's usually just throwing people out of the ring. That's kind of easy to get. The thing is, there were 21 people in the battle royal, and there were 5 people at the beginning, and every 3 minutes, 5 more wrestlers would join the match. And they were all brought in suits. They were like, the hearts, the diamonds, all that. I was like, okay, interesting. And the person that drew number 21 was the last individual, and they came in by themselves because they were the Joker. Okay, that works for me, I guess, Wow. Now I gotta be perfectly honest, I feel really bad. I don't know a lot of these guys, but I gotta be perfectly honest as well. Now that I've seen this pay-per-view and seen these guys, I want to know them. And I think, everyone was, there were a few people I was like, all right, but, there were a lot of people, there were some people whose names I knew, but I'd never actually seen them work before, and some people I didn't know at all, and there were a few people I was like, oh, I'd like to get to know you very well. Yummy. So, we begin the battle royal and the people in the ring and just going on through the whole thing. We have Dustin Thomas, who has to be one of the most crazy people I've ever seen get in a ring. Anyone who looked at someone like Zach Gowen, who, was wrestling with one leg and went, holy fuck, that guy has, that guy's got balls of steel. Dustin Thomas has been, he's overcome an even larger physical hurdle, in the fact that he's got no bottom legs. It's just, I'm like, what? Are you serious? And I was like, this is going to be a complete tragedy. That guy can go. I am not friggin' kidding. Also in the match were Michael Nakazawa. I have to get his name right because I get the feeling if people get his name wrong, he gets scary. Brandon Cutler, Sunny Days. Okay, Sunny Days. All right, I'm like, okay, I don't know why, but when I heard that name, I don't know why I thought that's a guy's name? Okay. I don't know why I automatically thought that was a woman's name. That's very gender specific on my part, and bad me. I shouldn't do that. And MJF. I'm like, okay, I have no idea who you are, and by the end of this match, I already hated him. I was like, wow, that's a record. You can definitely tell that this guy loves his work. MJF, who is also known by his name, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Oh my gosh. Wow. What a douche nozzle. Seriously, unequivocal douche nozzle. Wow. Brian Pillman Jr., who is the son of the late, great Brian Pillman. Isaiah Cassidy, Joey Janela, Jimmy Havoc, who had a staple gun because why not? I don't know what else to say to that. Sean Spears. Sean Spears has the greenest eyes I've ever seen. I was like, oh, wow, that guy's got awesome green eyes. I'm sorry. I like green eyes. Jensen Ackles, what have you done to me? Then we actually got a couple of names that I was actually like, wait, I actually know these people. Oh my gosh. Billy Gunn. I was like, okay. And I'm going, we're going to get the Road Dogg next? No, we're not. Okay. Well, I'm fine with that. And Glacier. Glacier? Now, at this point, I gotta be honest, my husband kind of went, ugh, Glacier, really? I'm like, hey, come on, be fair. Let's not do that, I know some people out there may not remember Glacier from the WCW days. I do. Because we were treated, Dr. Evil quotes, to a lot of pre-Glacier showing up promos. You know, the whole blood runs cold thing. It was terribly Mortal Kombat, and Glacier's, you know, look and his style and everything like that was obviously supposed to be very Sub-Zero without the cool cryokinetic powers, which actually, if you were a wrestler, cryokinetic powers would be really fucking cool. Jungle Boy was also in the Battle Royal, and wow. Good God Almighty. Jungle Boy, for those of you who don't know, is a young man that's wrestling nowadays, and God Almighty, he's gorgeous, and is also the son of the late actor Luke Perry, and I'm sure Luke is very proud of his son, and because he's really good. I mean, besides being one of the most ridiculously attractive men I've ever seen in my life, it ought to be a lot to be that handsome. He's a really terrific athlete. Also in the match was Mark. I can't read my writing, Mark, so I'm sorry I lost your last name. Private Party, as opposed to Major Confusion or General Chaos. General Chaos would be an awesome name for a wrestler. That would be really kick-ass. Sunny Kiss, which sounds like a name for somebody who's in the adult entertainment business, but what do I know? Tommy Dreamer. I was like, Tommy Dreamer, holy fuck, this just got really, really great, because I love me some Tommy Dreamer. I do. I admit it. I don't care. Every time I see Tommy, I smile, because he just warms my heart, because that man will do absolutely fucking anything, and has done fucking anything to entertain the fans, and God love you, Tommy, especially after this match where he took a staple gun shot to the, I mean, that had me full on cringing in pain, and I don't even have the parts. I was like, oh my gosh, wow. Luchasaurus, who is an exceedingly scary looking individual. Oh my gosh. I'm like, where did they find this guy? Good grief. I'm like, is Gwar missing a band member? Or Slipknot? Or what the hell? Where'd they find this dude? And I mean, I love his look. I mean, I absolutely love the look Luchasaurus has going for him. And also the fact that he is a big muscular guy who could probably rip my head clean off my fucking shoulders. So I have nothing bad to say about him at all. Ace Romero, Orange Cassidy. Okay, Orange Cassidy. What? Look, I have heard of laid back. I've heard of nonchalant. But I mean, dude, do you have a pulse? Seriously, I'm like, okay, what kind of a gimmick are we going for here? That we've like smoked our body weight in weed and now officially don't give a shit anymore? I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, it was funny and he's just entertaining, but I'm seriously like, I don't have any idea what's going on. And watching Tommy Dreamer have to interact with him was just, it was killing me. It was so funny. Cause Tommy just had this look on his face like, fight, damn you! And it was just great. The last person, one of the last people kind of in the ring was, Marco Stunt and Hangman Adam Page, and that was a huge, blow up of the audience. Everybody was yelling for him. And the winner of the match was actually Adam Page, who won because MJF thought that he had won after spending a lot of the time hiding, and Adam tossed him out of the ring. And he was, because of his win, Adam has been, is going to be awarded an AWE World Championship match against the winner of the main event of this show, which of course is, Alpha versus Omega, Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. The next match on the pre-show, was a singles match between Sammy Guevara and Kip Sabian. Sammy Guevara, comes down to the ring, and I'm not kidding, my jaw just dropped. I was like, what in the fuckity fuck is that guy wearing? Because it's not what I think it is. Please tell me it is not. No, it is what I think it is. Okay. Sammy Guevara made the questionable fashion choice of coming down to the ring wearing a panda. Now, when I say wearing a panda, I don't mean like carrying a baby panda or wearing like a full panda suit, because that would be strange, and awful hard to wrestle in. No, he had this, what looked like a panda head. Oh, he was wearing it like he had skinned a panda and was wearing the head on his head in like this kind of caveman, I don't know what the fuck you'd call it, kind of thing. It was horrifying. I mean, I'm sorry. I was just like, what? I mean, it was the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. And that's after seeing Luchasaurus. I'm like, that man is wearing my husband's like, is that man wearing? And I'm like, yes. Yep. He's wearing a panda head on his head with the teeth out. And I'm like, what? I mean, besides the fact that this had to be the PETA equivalent of a snuff film, I was like, wow, if those PETA people got mad about fur coats, they should clap some eyeballs on Sammy's look here. Terrific match. You know, these young guys that are just flying everywhere. Super, super cool. Kip Sabian wound up as the winner in that match. And then we begin the actual show. And Jim Ross comes out to the announcing table, and it was really cool to see him. And they played the university, I've had a long day, the University of Oklahoma's, fight song, Boomer Sooners and all that, I guess, because I don't know fucking anything about football. I don't know anything about football, never mind fucking college football. No idea. Sorry about that, world. And we get the first match of, officially of the pay-per-view, which was SoCal Uncensored, which is the team of Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky, going against the Strong Hearts, who are Seema, T-Hawk, and El Lindemann. Before we get there, though, I do want to bring up, they had this little thing at the beginning where they had, all these shots of all the people who were like in charge of, AEW, Cody Rhodes and his wife Brandy, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega. Also, I'd like to bring up that Matt Jackson, while I really dig the Young Bucks, I think they're really awesome. I want to know, is Matt Jackson trying to get cast as Wolverine if they're really going to recast Logan in like new movies and have him played by a younger person? Cause the hair, the mutton chop kind of, I mean, it looked great. I'm not knocking it, Matt. You looked aces, buddy, but I was just like, all right, that's a look, okay. I could personally have no problem with him playing Logan. I mean, I guess they would definitely need to give Nick a part, though. Nick could play Iceman. That would be cool. So anyway, also Chris Jackson and family sang the national anthem. It was very nice. So now we get to the actual match. Sorry about that. SoCal Uncensored going against the Strong Hearts, and I have to be honest, Frankie Kazarian, for the longest time, I could not support Frankie Kazarian because he looked like Russell Crowe. I'm sorry. He looked like Russell Crowe and it irritated me. And I realize that's me being shallow, so what? If you haven't listened to the show long enough and figured out that I can be kind of shallow sometimes, and I admit it, so there's that. He doesn't look like Frankie. Frankie doesn't look like Russell Crowe anymore, so I'm cool with him now. Christopher Daniels does a little bit where he sings like Freddie Mercury. It's singing part of Don't Stop Me Now. And I'm sitting there going, oh, I can feel the rage dragon rising in my chest. It's just gonna be one of those shows. it was amazing to watch these guys because, I mean, Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, they've been doing this for years and they're super amazing. I really didn't know Scorpio Sky. He's, for a big dude, he can really move and he's really, really good at what he does. The match was won eventually by SCU, although I gotta say, Strong Hearts put up a hell of a fight. Really, really great match. Next was a fatal 4-way with, Kylie Ray, who is Smiley Kylie Ray, and anybody who thought that Bailey was like the smiliest person in wrestling, holy crap, you were wrong. Kylie's hyper. I mean, like 5-year-old after a half a dozen pixie sticks hyper. I mean, yike. Also in the match were Nyla Rose, who is, impressive, physically impressive. That's a very nice way to say scary, in case you were wondering. And Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. This is not a joke, by the way. This woman is a wrestler, and she is also a dentist. For legit. Okay. I'm like, all right, those two things. I mean, I guess those two things are not. I'm like, what? I mean, for real? And I did some checking. I'm like, no, for real. This isn't like an Isaac Yankem thing. This is like for serious. She's really a dentist. I'm like, well, that's great because dentists have a lot of pointy things. You could bring that in the ring and really like mess somebody up. But no, she's not like that. The thing is, before the match started, out comes Brandy Rhodes, who looks like she's dressed to wrestle. And that means wearing less clothes, so the guys in the audience were happy, which is understandable because Brandy's a very attractive lady. And she got on the mic and she made it very clear, oh, I'm not wrestling, I'm having somebody else come in because somebody else needs to be here to make this match awesome. And out came the Miz. No, that's a joke! That's a joke! I'm sorry. Now all the AEW fans are gonna be mad at me. No, out came Awesome Kong, which was fantastic because I think she's awesome. I do think she's awesome and amazing and terrifying. She is a very, 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 very tack 20 more varies on their intimidating figure. I mean, Nia Jax could take lessons from her on how to actually be intimidating without coming off like, somebody that breaks people's faces and then brags about it, in real life. Just saying. Wow. This was, the whole women's revolution thing the WWE keeps running down our throats. I'm like, yeah, fine, whatever. This is women's wrestling. This was just stellar. With the match finally being won by Dr. Britt Baker. So that was great. We got a tag team match next with the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, going against Angelico and Jack Evans. Chuck Taylor I've watched a lot of video of. I've never seen him actually perform live. I bet he was really disappointed because there were no little kids in the arena that he could scream at and make cry. That's kind of his thing. If you ever go and check him out on YouTube, he plays this heel that for some reason likes to get in the face of little kids and scream. And, I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, it's all, I'm sure he's probably had more than one parent that wanted to kick his ass, but, and this place was over 21, so there were no people there with little kids. So that was, this was a comedy match, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with comedy matches. I would have a problem maybe if there was an actual serious thing that was supposed to be going on, like storyline wise, and you threw a comedy match in the middle just to lighten shit up. I can't deal with that. But there were definite comedy moments in this. The winners of the match being the best friends. And then shit got weird. And I realize I just said that about a show that includes a wrestler named Luchasaurus. Yes, I'm going to jump back to that again. But seriously, shit got weird because all of a sudden the lights go out and both teams are attacked by some guys. there's like a shit ton of them. There's like a whole lot of dudes, and they're all wearing masks, and it's like, what the fuck's going on? And they're beating up everybody, and holy fuck, this is insane. I mean, even the crowd's chanting, "Who are you?" I mean, I'm like, okay. You know, you'd think, not for nothing, you'd think it's Vegas, you'd think they'd sing it, you know, like CSI, the whole, "Who are you?" You know, they probably didn't want to get sued by the Who, though. At the end of this whole beatdown, the people that were being referred to on the announcing table as minions, I'm like, excuse me, none of those people are wearing yellow masks, and they're not cute little tater tot looking guys. They're these mean people that are beating up these guys. That's not cool. Don't call them minions. They made like a throne so the people in charge of them, these other two dudes wearing masks, could sit there and recline. I'm like, okay, I don't have any idea what's going on. Not a clue. I mean, I should sort of be used to that because that's kind of my life story, but I'm like, what the hell? We get another women's match, 6-woman tag team match this time with Hikaru Shida, Riho Abe, and Ryo Mitsunami going against the team of Yuka Sakazaki, Emi Sakura, and Aja Kong. And Aja Kong, my gosh, has not lost a step. I honest to blog, couldn't tell you the last time I saw Aja Kong. She still can go. I mean, she goes a little slower, but you know, I mean, that's called time, folks, and we all have to deal with it. But, you know, it's what it is, which is a Japanese women's match, you know, with Japanese women wrestlers who are, I couldn't even carry their gym bags because they're all amazing, and nobody has to be given a name like the Kabuki Warriors because they just happen to be Japanese, because that's stupid when neither of those people that have that name are involved with Kabuki, and I realize I'm just, you know, sorry. The whole thing of Emi Sakura doing a Freddie Mercury cosplay with the white jacket and the yellow jacket and the white pants and the cane microphone and the mustache. I'm like, okay. You be you, dear. I don't know. I really don't know. The match was won by Hikaru, Riho, and Ryo, and it was just drop dead stellar, like you figured it would be. The next match was deeply, deeply personal, in the fact that it was between two brothers. Two half-brothers, if you want to split hairs and pick nits. Cody, who just goes by Cody now, because... don't look at me, going against his brother, Dustin Rhodes, who has come to AEW. And Cody's whole thing was that he wanted to beat Dustin to kill what was remaining of the Attitude Era. All right. Now, in a move that some people thought, I mean, the crowd seemed to be into it. More than a few people online have referred to it as petty. When Cody came out to the ring, there was a throne set up on the stage where he had to walk by it, and it was a throne with skulls on it and all this stuff like that. Gee, I wonder who this is supposed to be mocking. And when Cody and Brandy got down to the ring, Brandy looked under the ring and pulled an object out from under the ring and gave it to Cody. And said object was a sledgehammer. Okay, this is subtlety. This is the open window. Toss. Cody took the sledgehammer and beat the holy hell out of this throne. Okay, see, there's symbolism and then there's beating us over the head with it. This qualifies as the latter. I mean, I just kind of, I don't know. It didn't bother me as much as it bothered. I mean, some people really, really were like, I don't know if offended is the right word. They felt like it was petty. They felt like it was this, that, the other thing. They just didn't dig it. I was just kind of like, yeah. If you're going to slap somebody in the face with a glove, you might as well slap them as hard as you can with the glove and then maybe shove it up their right nostril, which is pretty much what Cody did. And then we get the actual match between Cody and Dustin, and oh my frog almighty, did Dustin bleed. I haven't seen that much blood in a wrestling ring in a very long time. This match was brutal and nasty and fucking awesome. I mean, was I worried about Dustin? To be honest, yes, I was. I was like, oh, wow, he's really bleeding. Like, a lot. Like, a whole lot. Like, should they stop this? Kind of thing. It was nasty. I mean, fuck me, it was nasty. Cody wound up beating Dustin and winning the match. But the thing is, after the match was over, he told Dustin, basically, you don't get to retire like this. Because Cody has a match coming up with the Young Bucks at another AEW show, and he really needs his brother. And they hugged, and it was beautiful. I mean, I realize that some people are like, what? But it was really beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. It told a great story. I gotta really hand it to them. It was really something awesome. I did think it was interesting that during the match, Brandy got involved, and the person that came out and put the kibosh on that happening again was Diamond Dallas Page, of all people, who literally picked Brandy up, tossed her, put her over his shoulder, and walked the fuck out. I was like, well, that's impressive. Considering that she was kicking like mad, I was like, man, he's got a really good grip, because I would have dropped her about 5 times by now. Following that was the tag team match for the AAA World Tag Team Championship, which was won in Mexico by the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson, who defeated the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix, who are actually also blood brothers. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to go back a little bit. Before we got there, I have my notes in front of me and I can't quite see them while I'm talking. Before we got there, we had the presentation of showing the world what the AEW championship belt looks like. And the person who was given that honor was Bret the Hitman Hart. And I lost my mind. I was just, my eyes were as big as saucers. My hands were hurting from clapping because I was just so excited and thrilled to see Bret there, because I am a big Bret Hart fan, and anybody who has a problem with that, sorry. Not sorry. Unfortunately, Bret couldn't do this without having somebody decide to be a schmuck, and said schmuck was MJF, who came down to the ring, talked a bunch of trash, made a remark about a fan coming out of the crowd to attack Bret. Ha 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 ha! Fuck you. Thankfully, he got his ass handed to him by a couple of other wrestlers, including Jungle Boy, which I was so happy to see him back. Call me. Anyway, now we get the AAA match. Sorry about that before. I gotta say, I know that, a lot of the luchadors really put a lot of time and effort into their masks, and Rey Fenix has a great look. Pentagon Jr. scares the living piss out of me. And I realize that's probably his job, and he's probably very flattered that I just said that, but oh my gosh, that look is horrifying. If you look at the way that he wears the makeup on his lips, and it makes it look like his lips are sewn shut, I'm like, ew. Ew, 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 ew. I'm having a total girly moment. Ew, ew, ew. Again, this was one of these, what the fuck is going on matches, because you absolutely had no idea. You had no idea where to look, and there were a few times when the camera was a little like, camera guy could. There were a few of those during the show, not a lot. I have to be honest and say there weren't a lot of camera bobbles, which is definitely a good thing. But, holy cow. I mean, these guys, I honestly don't know how they did not kill themselves doing what they were doing, because they were just doing some of the sickest and most incredible moves I've ever seen. The end of the match came with Nick and Matt getting the win, and they retained their AAA World Tag Team Championship belts. And we get the final match of the evening, which is, the Alpha versus Omega Part 2, with Chris Jericho going against Kenny Omega. Now I've seen Chris Jericho wrestle for, a number of years. I was lucky enough to be at one of his final shows in ECW. And, Chris, I'm sorry that I whacked you off the head with a streamer. I really didn't mean to, but I can't throw worth a damn. And I have only seen Kenny Omega wrestle via YouTube, and, he's really, wow. He is pretty fucking amazing. Besides the fact that he's incredibly easy on the eyes. Sorry, woman needs, don't judge. He's a damn good wrestler. I mean, he's a damn fine wrestler. I liked what they did at the beginning where they had the whole different stages of Jericho thing, where they had the Lionheart look and the Jericho with the list and all that stuff like that. I thought that was pretty neat. I was in the light up jacket and all that. I was like, that's pretty cool. I like that. Chris is obviously being the egotistical heel here. His whole thing is that AEW is going to be a success because he's here, blah, blah. Again, one of these wow. I mean, there were so many wow moments in this match. I couldn't count them all if I tried. And the end of the match was Chris Jericho beating Kenny Omega. So he will face Adam Page, in a match a little bit down the road for the AEW World Championship. Now, this would have been a great place to close the show, but it didn't end there. Somebody came through the crowd and made their presence felt, and I really wouldn't mind feeling his presence either. John Moxley, the former Dean Ambrose, whose name we will never say again, and he is from now on until he changes his name again. John Moxley came down to the ring and beat the fucking frog snot out of anybody he could get his hands on that was not a fan. He beat up Jericho. He beat up Kenny. He beat up the referee. Just dirty deeds, DDTs everywhere. I was like, I hope the timekeepers manage to get the hell out of there, or else they're gonna be in trouble too. Serious battle, oh my gosh, it was just completely nuts. And the fight afterwards between Omega and Moxley, which ended up with them fighting on these giant, poker chips. Poker, I hardly know her. Y'all knew I was gonna do that joke. Don't roll your eyes. It was madness. It was insanity. It was lunacy, and I loved every second of it. I am going to give this pay-per-view and a very enthusiastic A-. There were a few bobbles, nothing really terrible, nothing that made me feel like, wow, this may not actually have sticking power. I think it does. I hope it does. I really, really do. I like all the people involved. I thought it was a great show. It had me seriously, emotionally invested. See, that's the big problem with the WWE lately, is that for the most part, with a few exceptions, named Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, and Seth Rollins, the rest of the people, there's a saying, there's a sentence that is the kiss of death for television shows, and that sentence is, I don't care about these people. I mean, I really shouldn't say I don't care about any of the wrestlers, because I do care in the fact that I want to see people have long, successful careers. I don't want to see anybody get hurt or anything like that. But I just don't feel any passion for a lot of people anymore. And I found that passion again watching this pay-per-view. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they have to keep this up. Now, we all know that, all the rumors and all the talk and stuff like that has been that TNT has signed AEW to a deal. They haven't said anything about when it's going to be on, but I really can't wait. I really, really can't wait. And I hope everybody else who watched the pay-per-view, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, if you I'd love to know your opinion, platinumroselle@yahoo.com. And I would like to think that if you'd be so kind, you can listen to the other shows that are part of our little island of misfit toys. Those would include Subject Cinema and Platinum Rose's Garden and Tuesday Digidex 3-Minute Weekend, Cavebabble, which is done by our buddies Eric and Valerie. Hey guys, I hope everything's going okay out there because they are in the Midwest and they're getting battered. Anybody who listens to this that are in, the middle part of the country in the Midwest and all that, I hope you're safe. I know the weather out there has been nuts and I hope everybody's safe and okay. My husband TC, who is a real dear, sweet person who puts up with my lunacy, has a couple of special shows that he's doing, on his own, including Catastrophe Vortex, because he is a disaster movie junkie, and he can talk to you about any kind of movies about things where things fall down and go boom. And he also has a couple of other shows they are Tuesday Digidex and 3-Minute Weekend, which are his shows where he's looking at movies coming out to the theater, to on demand, and all over the place. So you know where to spend your coinage. And you can also check out a good buddy of ours, Anthony Lamberti, over on Ampy's Nerd Grotto or Comic Grotto, I should say, on YouTube. Anthony's a great guy and he does some really cool stuff as well. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, you can do that. I'm Platinum Rose Lady at twitter.com. And that is going to do it for another episode of Ring Around the Rosie. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back sooner or later, hopefully sooner, with some more wrestling talk and my own twisted spin on things. I hope, like I said before, I hope everybody's checking out Subject Cinema this month. We are in the middle of our Godzilla Tokyo Town Stomp Down, looking at the movies of Godzilla. Last month we had the Avengers movies and all of the Marvel movie universe stuff for the most part, and that was nuts. If you want to go check those out too, that would be cool. And so this is Kim Brown, aka Platinum Rose Lady, signing off for another week. See you later, and have a great rest of your week.
You have been listening to Ring Around the Rosie with Kim Brown, a production of PNRNetworks. Keep in touch with all things about the show at http://ringaroundtherosie.net. Ring Around the Rosie intro performed by Eric Lyon. Ring Around the Rosie theme by Digital Juice. Join Kim for a new Ring Around the Rosie every Wednesday. Ring Around the Rosie is copyright 2018 PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.